Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. This is our spooky episode of the year, our Halloween episode. This episode comes out on Halloween. Elena and Migs are here with me.
Hello, hello.
How are y'all doing today?
And I'm Migs.
Oh, we're changing it up a little bit today, Migs.
I'm never used to that.
Usually we have a thing where we all introduce ourselves, but I'm like, let's change it up a little bit for Halloween and just give them their names on the podcast. But today's Halloween, like I said, and I'm not sure what your Halloween is looking like this year. Have you already made plans to celebrate with your kid? Or
oh my goodness, you
with...
don't know Jasper and I then, because I have to ask him every morning, every week, every day, what do we have on the schedule? Because he will come up with something. But we do have a Halloween party that we're planning to dress up as Stitch, like so Cece's being Stitch, Nia as Leo, me as Nani, and him as the the agent, the secret agent. But we'll see how that goes.
That's cool. I think
together.
I figured that y'all would do some like cool family costumes ideas. That's pretty cool. And is it like a family party or like a friend party or? No,
it's a friend party, and then I think Jasper is kind of on the cusp of whether or not he's going to be performing that night at the tap room in Bentonville. We'll be in Bentonville, I think. Okay. We've got some friends out there that are going to put together a pretty cool Halloween celebration. We heard it's like the best, so we'll see.
Oh, wow. You know how like some Latino families will be like, hey, during Halloween when they go trick or treat, they'll go like, let's go to the rich houses and ask for candy there.
I never did that.
I've
never done that. No.
Like I remember we would go to the normal houses, but then like at the end when we weren't getting enough candy or something, we'd go to like the rich houses that give a lot of candy.
I grew up in the ghetto, so we would like we always had to have glow sticks on us to be careful because it's dark out and you're trick-or-treating, and then afterward dump all the candy, make sure there's no razors or drugs in your candy, they had to go through each one of the pieces.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's wasting drugs on kids, man.
I know. But California is a different place. You never know.
Expensive. Anything when they give it to your kid for free.
Think we're gonna put drugs in the kids' kids?
Yeah, for real.
Well, I never got any, and my parents did search it. They did search it because apparently blades. Yeah, blades and candy is somehow a big thing.
Like
I don't think I've ever seen a blade in a candy, but apparently everybody is terrified.
Well, my parents would make sure nothing was opened. Because, someone could do something to open candy.
I would see those graphics on, like, the social media and stuff where they have, like, a blade in an apple or something. I'm like, bro, who does this? Like,
who's giving out apples?
Who is, like the Jigsaw from Saw? Or, like, who's over here messing with people's stuff? But,
so, wait, you guys all celebrated Halloween growing up?
Yeah, what about you, Mix? What did you do?
What did I do growing up?
Yeah. For Halloween, not just growing up in general.
I used to just go out and usually find a Halloween party. I remember my homie, Darren Pacheco. This is in L.A., and his birthday was always like October 30th. Mm-hmm. So he would always have like a big Halloween party. Things cool. In fact, sometimes I even try to go back during Halloween just to catch that again,
just to make it.
But it wasn't like big how it was back then. But so that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes try to dress up. Yeah, I always forget to like get a Halloween costume. So like day before, I'm always like, oh man, I gotta go here tomorrow. Like, what am I gonna be? So it's always like whatever you see, I came up with it like the day before.
Yeah.
And then this Halloween, I'm going to New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear it's quite the time. So we're going.
Work or vacation?
Fun.
Work or good vibes?
Fun.
Okay, fun, good vibes. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently we're gonna come up with some costumes and go down there and have a great old time.
Ooh.
Another thing that I'm looking forward to is murder mystery night at the Camacho's house over there.
Well, it won't be at my house, but it will be at a house.
Okay. Is that at your house?
No, did you not see the invitation, Mix? I sent you the invite.
I mean, I saw it. I just assumed whatever address is on there was yours.
Yeah, it's not my address, but it is at a friend's house, and we're gonna be dressing up on the 26th for a murder mystery. First one I've ever done in my life. And,
I'm excited for you guys. I'll be at a wedding.
Yeah, bummer. I invited her and she couldn't make it. But it's gonna be a good time just to act out, these different characters. And on Halloween specifically, I always enjoy Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. I like something about like dressing up. It makes me happy. The music makes me happy too. And we'll probably go trick or treating with like our nieces or something and give out candy. So I'm looking forward to that. And on this episode, it's supposed to be our spookiest episode of the year, our Halloween episode. We're excited about our guest today, who I actually just made contact with just a few days ago. But apparently he already knows Elena and he knows Migs before he knew me. With us is one of the lead investigators for Big Boys Paranormal, Josh Marshall. Thank you for joining us today,
Welcome,
Josh.
Hey,
Josh.
thanks for having me. Doing pretty well. I'm super stoked about spooky season. Obviously, as a ghost hunter, it's kind of our shtick.
What does Halloween look like for you?
Halloween this year looks like the 26th. I'm going on a investigation at the Arkansas Air Military Museum for Haunt the Hangar, and then we have a public event coming up on November 2nd that we're kind of doing for our Halloween stuff. So I'm kind of surrounding around Halloween with stuff, but Halloween itself, I gotta work. So.
And you live here in Northwest Arkansas, right?
Mm-hmm. Live in Rogers. So.
Okie dokie. And where does your fascination for the paranormal begin? As a kid, or is this an adult kind of thing?
It's pretty recent. We were sitting around at my day job one day, and somebody's like, "Hey, why don't we try, ghost hunting?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll make all the arrangements. I'll put in all the legwork, and we'll go do it." And so, sure enough, we ended up doing it. I fell in love with it, and I've
What was the
been doing
first
it ever
place you went
since.
to?
It was actually the Arkansas Air Military Museum, and it's going to be nice going back on the 26th.
Okay.
We got all sorts of stuff that happened at the at there. So yeah.
Something that I see go hand in hand with like haunting is history.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a history nerd by any chance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really cool seeing, like, going to these places and learning about all the history of everything. So.
Okay.
What do you think, like, in regards to what started your interest in paranormal? I'm guessing before, because you said as an adult, right? That's
Right.
kind of where maybe your interest has peaked a little bit. But were you into scary movies like growing up? Is that kind of your thing?
Horror movies, horror video games, metal music, all the stereotypically scary things. I think I was just the bee's knees.
What do you think are some of the movies that you've watched, horror movies specifically, that have been like the ones that actually scared you the most that you could recall?
The Conjuring series, before The Nun. I think The Conjuring.
You didn't like the
1
Nun
and
one?
2. Not really.
I thought that was the scariest one, in my opinion.
I thought Conjuring 2 was the scariest until the little end bit. This past weekend saw Terrifier 3. Whoa.
Is it really as scary as people have been saying?
I wouldn't say it's scary, but it's rough.
Is it gory? Like really gory?
Extremely.
Okay.
It's rough to get through.
Because I saw the ads on social media that were like people walking out of the movie theater, and I was like, are they walking out of horror or of disgust?
A little bit of both. Because a lot of horror movies shy away from like killing kids.
Yeah,
but
that one doesn't shy away.
That one doesn't shy away from
Look,
it.
Have you not watched Hereditary?
Hereditary's great.
They kill
That's
kids
true.
in that one?
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
You
man.
haven't watched Hereditary?
No,
That
I
one's
haven't.
weird. It's a trip.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I have it on DVD if you want to borrow it.
My wife would be like, as long as you don't kill animals, then we're fine. Do they
Yeah.
kill animals in Terrifier 3?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, because there's a website called Does the Dog Die?
Yeah.
And my wife frequents that website. Every time we watch any kind of movie that has a dog in it, she'll go check. She's like, pause, let me go check. But I'll give it a try. I've never watched. I think I've only watched the first few minutes of the first Terrifier ever. And the clown is creepy. Art the clown, right?
Oh yeah.
Like he's the creepiest clown I've ever seen, I think. But I've always wondered if it was kind of like a gory thing, or if it was like psychological thriller, what that looked like.
It's one of those. If you appreciate visual effects, then it's pretty cool because all the effects are practical. And as long as you keep in mind, like, this is fake. You know, at the end of the day, it's fake.
So with your guys' group, with Big Boy Paranormal, you guys record and you guys upload videos on YouTube and Facebook. Do you guys do some Facebook Live stuff?
We did Facebook Live recently when we were we investigated the Bentonville Cemetery.
Okay.
And our president AJ was like, "Well, if you get anything, like, go live on Facebook with it." And so, a spirit candle which detects like EMF frequencies and turns on and off, that kept going on and off in front of one of the tombs there that we were kind of, you know, is anybody here? You know, and so we went on there for a little bit and we're just like, hey, look at this, and the candle was just, you know, flickering to our questions, which is.
Do you put anything from like horror movies and stuff like into like the scare factor of recording and being live in paranormal sites?
We should. That's a good idea. We try to keep it as like not like contaminated with anything else. Like, these are our findings. We want people to able to make their own judgment on whatever we find, because as investigators we try to debunk ourselves as much as we can. So it'll be like we'll get an EMF reading. We're like, okay, is there any electricity going on? Are all of our phones on airplane mode? Like, we try to mitigate as much as we can, and so we're just all we try to do is just present people with, here's what we found. What do you guys think?
And you guys are a whole team. Can you talk about the team? Like, first of all, when did Big Boys Paranormal begin, and who's in the team?
We started last year. We've got AJ and Matt, who kind of started the whole process. Matt's down in Little Rock, so he comes up, you know, whenever he can. AJ's down in the River Valley. I met AJ on our first investigation, and we just kind of hit it off from there. And then we went and investigated Carpenter's mortuary together. And from there, he was like, "Do you just want to join us?" I'm like, "Sure, man." So from then on, we've been doing it together. And recently, we picked up a guy named Marcus because him and I were doing a lot of investigations together. And so,
is he also a big boy?
He is.
That's a rule, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only job, like, qualification. Man,
Looks like I'm in.
have y'all ever done any like paranormal investigations yourselves, Migs, Elena? Have y'all ever, like, maybe not like an official one, but have you ever?
I haven't done an official one, but I've been to. We went and filmed over. It was like a wedding destination thing for. But it was the Crescent Hotel and the what's the one right around along the way by the
Basin Park.
Yeah, the Basin, and so we got to stay there for free. I got like a haunted like suite because I was staying.
Wasn't 218, was it?
Man, I don't remember the number.
That's a room, isn't it?
No. There is a few of them. I got the one with like I guess like the old lady nurse who used to like live there. But there's another room where there's like this perv guy, and he likes
Michael.
to like mess around with the women there. But
he turns the water in the shower.
Yeah,
off
but we had but we went and we took the tour, and then they came up to my room, and then they're like, this is the one where, you know, this happened, and I'm like, that's my room, and then like I opened it, and everybody's like cool, and then they gave us a little ghost like little meter thing, and we went into the closet and like. It was really like going like crazy there, but apparently she was nice there. But apparently there was a crew there years ago that before I got there that they were there ghost hunting, and they went out and so they went out and went around the town, and then they came back and they couldn't get in, and the reason they couldn't get in is because all their equipment cases were against the door from the inside. Yeah. But I also, like, I would go into the closet and, like, it looks like there was, like, a little door there, you know? So I'm like, I wonder if, like, there was, like, secret, like, passageways or something. And, but, like, it was a little creepy. But at the same time, it was, like, it like was a nice hotel room.
And you slept there, like you felt
yeah,
okay?
yeah. I mean, I felt great.
Yeah.
I mean, me and I forgot her name, but sorry, Ghost. but me and her got along good. Yeah.
I knew someone that actually used to work there, and he swears that place is actually haunted.
Yeah.
And I believed him because like he left and he wasn't there for too long, but he didn't have like an attachment to the place, and he was like, no, for real, like that place is actually haunted. And we've stayed there like 2 or 3 times, and we visited probably, like my wife and I have probably visited like 35 times or so. And the vibes are definitely different there, especially at night. You know, you do feel something's going on around there.
See, I've been to the Crescent. I visited. We got kicked out. Me and a
Why'd you
bunch
get
of my
kicked out, Emma?
cousins. Well, you see what had happened was
You have to pay for your.
What happened was
we were like, touring the place as everyone does, and then one of my cousins, I'm blaming it on him, he was like, oh my gosh, we should climb up to the roof. And so we went out of the window, like on the 3rd floor, to the fire escape, and like we're going up the roof.
Yep.
And it's like a bunch of us. It's a bunch of, I mean, I was probably like 14, and there's like, oldest probably is gonna be like 18. Like we were all young, and we were all just going up the fire escape, and then the ladies, one of the managers sees us, they're like, hey, get down. My mom did not claim us. My mom was embarrassed. She said, those are not my children. I don't know who the hell they are, but they are not mine. They can find their own way home.
Elena's mom was like, I'm a lawyer and I'm not defending them. I'm not defending these kids.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know what is wrong with you guys. So, but we had gone to some of the springs around there. I've also gone to the Hotel Cecil. I've also gone to a couple grave sites in the area in Northwest Arkansas. There was one that was kind of close to Post Road that had really old graveyards, and like everyone would kind of go there at night, and like it's just a spooky place. I haven't done anything spooky in a while, but
That Cecil one is creepy though. Even
Hotel
from the
Cecil-
outside.
yeah,
I was
just
there
even
too.
from the outside,
2 years
yeah.
ago.
yeah, I think 2 years ago whenever I went to LA last, it might have been last year. Yeah, it was probably last year. It's just, I also, I mean, like even going to 9/11, like where the towers were,
Ground
you
Zero.
can feel that energy. And I'm someone who can like feel energy in certain areas, and like sometimes, I mean, I've definitely been in spaces where you're kind of like, there's someone here, but I've always been told if you look for it, you're gonna find it. So sometimes I like just kind of be careful because I don't want to find it.
I got to go to Ground Zero for the first time this year, and I was in the museum in Ground Zero. It's probably the heaviest feeling I've ever felt, like an external feeling.
Yeah, I felt it like a block away. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's right there.
Yeah.
And like, before you know it, it's so weird because you're between all these buildings, and I think it's like very important that like people hold more than just like their presence that you see physically, like there is something spiritually. And whenever you go to places where lots of people have died, there definitely is like some sort of feeling there, same, we were talking earlier about the Pea Ridge battlefield. Going through some of those areas, you can just tell like there's been loss. You had mentioned you went to a maternity ward.
Yeah, the Kirksey Maternity Hospital in Mulberry. We've gotten evidence that Dr. Kirksey, who died in his office in the hospital itself, that he's still there, just making sure everything's all right.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
is kind
man.
of cool.
Like
we would ask questions. We had a spirit candle sitting there, and we would ask questions like, are you a big fisherman? And the candle would light up and be like, okay, well, what kind of fish did you catch? Did you catch trout? And then the candle would turn off. So, he's definitely still roaming around there.
I saw in y'all's bios on y'all's website, on your bio specifically, talked about that you were a big skeptic. How are you a big skeptic while doing this work? Like, have you had experiences where you're like, maybe like some of this stuff is real, or right now are you still kind of like, I'm still skeptical about all these kind of like energies?
It's kind of hard to explain because there's a lot of times we'll do something, I'll be like, no way. That doesn't make any sense to me. And sometimes, we'll go on investigations with people and I'll be like, I don't know if I buy that, But being a skeptic is also really good, because if we get evidence of something, I'll instantly be like, okay, maybe it was this. No. Okay. Maybe it was this. No. Okay. What about this? No, still no. And so, having that kind of mindset really helps, being like, okay, I don't have an explanation for this. And it's when you really don't have an explanation for whatever happened that you're like, okay, maybe this is something.
I mean, what does the equipment look like that y'all take? Like, what are some of the things that y'all take for your investigations?
We have a REM pod, which is just like, it's a kind of looks like a risen up hockey puck with an antenna sticking out of it, and it basically creates a field around it where if anything electromagnetic breaks that field, it makes a noise. It also has like a temperature sensor on it, so if it gets too cold around it or too hot around it, it'll start going off as well. We use what are called cat balls, which are literally cat toys, that you can turn on, and then when they move, they light up. So you can set them in places and be like, hey, if you're here, you wanna move one of those balls, then we'll see it. And when we investigated the cave the first time, the Spanish Treasure Cave in Sulphur Springs the first time, one of those actually started rolling uphill. It was really it was really something. Like, oh my gosh.
What's the history there? Like, why are there spirits?
So the history of that cave in particular, conquistadors, when they, Hernando de Soto, came up through Arkansas, and they found this cave while they were up here. So they decided to make camp inside the cave. And they hid all their treasures that they stole from people, in somewhere inside the cave. And then there's a natural chimney that goes up it. You can actually, when you go in, you can see where the natural chimney is, and you can see black marks around it from all the smoke that's gone up through it.
Oh, wow.
And when they were camping there, they had a fire in what they call the council room, which is like the big area. And the Native Americans in the area saw the smoke coming out of the natural chimney, so they went in and just killed a bunch of the conquistadors inside there. And so there's a lot of that. There's like a Civil War soldier who went into the cave to kind of escape the battle a little bit, and he liked it so much that after he died, he came back to it.
Wow.
That during the springtime, he made a lot of like pancakes and stuff. So during the springtime, you can smell maple syrup inside the whole cave. Like it's really cool. We were asking him about bacon the last time we were in there, and REM pod started going off. So
using a cave is something like I feel scared to do, especially at night. Because I just don't know how stable it is.
Yeah.
Is there bats in there? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the variables you have to think of. You're like, I heard something. It sounded like flight though. Must have been a bat. But it's really cool. The owners, Paul and Tracy, are great people. Every time we go in, Paul asks us, "You guys want the lights on or off?" We're like, "Oh, off." And then we're just stumbling around this cave with flashlights, and so that's a really cool experience, because not many people get to experience going into a public-ish cave, with all the lights completely off.
I was gonna say, I would be terrified if I was somewhere and I'd be like, "Hey, you feel free to move one of these little cat balls," and that shit just shot across the room. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm out of here, bro."
Oh yeah,
it's going uphill. Yeah. How are you going uphill?
It was one of the crazy. Like, we're all sitting there. We're like, we see it start moving. We're like, "Is that going uphill?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, that's going uphill." And so we're like, "Okay, well, maybe water dripped on it." But like when we saw it, it was bone dry. So it's like, no, that wasn't it. This is definitely something. Yeah.
I saw y'all recently got to do the Clayton House in Fort Smith, which is a really like old school I don't know what the description is. Maybe you know a more detailed description of that Clayton house, but it's a very beautiful house, and y'all did an event there. Can you talk about what y'all did and maybe what y'all saw, if y'all saw anything?
Absolutely. The Clayton house, for anybody who's curious in the history of it, Mr. Clayton was a lawyer back in the days of Judge Parker, who was the hanging judge in Fort Smith. So much so that I believe it was Mr. Clayton's daughter married Judge Parker's son. Like they were that close together. So we went in because
Great people.
Yeah. So we went in and invited people to come in with us. We got some responses through a spirit box, which is something that scrolls through AM radio frequencies, and you can spirits can put like sentences and words together inside that. And we would ask questions like, hey, what's your name? That kind of stuff. We also got some spirit candle stuff. There was actually I think it was the great granddaughter of Judge Parker who happened to be there with us, and she started asking questions like, hey, is there anything you want to tell the family? It was really cool, and the spirit candle was just lighting up like crazy whenever she would talk. So
did y'all film that?
We did. I don't know if I still have the footage.
What do you mean?
We've done a lot since then. A lot of the stuff that we got from there wasn't very compelling. But we also, doing a public hunt like that, we don't want to like invade anybody's privacy or anything like that. So we don't want to be like, hey, check out our YouTube video for this public event. So we just kind of try to restrict it to, because we want to focus on making sure they have the best time, not that we're just getting the best content.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Alarm starts going off.
You're good. Do you all upload content regularly on YouTube? Or what is the content part of this work look like for you all?
So if we do an investigation, we don't get very much evidence, but we get like some. We basically turn it into a TikTok or a YouTube short and post that, and like, hey, here's just something funny that happened from our investigation. We posted a recent one from the Kirksey Maternity Hospital where like we were asking Dr. Kirksey, like, do you want to see Matt twerk? Like, if you want to see Matt twerk, turn the light off, and the light turns off. We're like, oh. We really try to bring the fun to investigating in general, because I mean, who wants to just sit there and just watch people sit there and be like,
something that I've noticed in like recent, like since TikTok, I guess, is like ARG and like, people creating these whole stories and these whole timelines and creating these, what's your point of view on like that for paranormal and like?
Personally, I like just putting the evidence out there for our long form content. It's just like, hey, you want to see our investigation? Here it is. Here's everything of it. We try not to edit anything too much down. We'll speed it up if like there's a long instance of like between evidences. We'll speed it up. But for the most part, it's just like, here is literally all the footage we captured from this location. So
that's on YouTube? Okay.
It's on our YouTube, Big Boys Paranormal.
So how long do the videos range then?
The most recent one was about 27 minutes because we sped it up. But like you can see, we put it in like different sections and break it up with stuff. So the council room we have as an entire section. There's a spot in the cave where people have said they've seen in pictures a Native American woman's like crouching behind a stalagmite, and so we wanted to check that out, and we got a lot of cat ball activity and REM pod stuff. So
that's cool.
And then we split it up with like the stuff that we shot on our phones. Like those two are shot with with infrared cameras in complete darkness. And then we have stuff on our phone cameras that's just like, man, let's see what we can get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What are some of the places that y'all still want to investigate, or maybe y'all have plans for already to do, or if you don't have plans that y'all are thinking about for the future, specifically in Arkansas, if you can think of any in Arkansas?
right.
I saw some of the suggestions y'all have gone on social media because I think y'all asked, and I was like, oh, those are some of the ones that I would want to do too.
Like the Conjuring house and stuff like that. Man, we looked that up. That's $1,700 plus you gotta drive or fly there. It's like, ugh, I don't know about that. I mean, close to Arkansas, we're doing the Spotlight Theater in Tulsa, Oklahoma on I believe it's November 17th. We're also working on trying to get into other places like the King's Opera House. We're doing Tilly Willy Bridge here soon.
That's the one I was going to bring up.
Oh yeah, we're checking that out in the next few weeks.
Did you ever get to go to it before they tore it down?
No. Well, yes and no. Back when I was like 17 and wasn't really into paranormal, we just went out there once, you know, just to be like, oh, I wonder, and
I went there when I was 17 too,
right.
with a bunch of friends. Like it was like 3 carloads of friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was some weird vibes. Like there was part of the bridge that was like really hot, and then the other part of the bridge is really cold. And
right.
supposedly people say that like the windows of the cars will get really foggy, and they'll see like handprints on there and stuff. The handprints didn't show up, but we did see the fogginess, which is normal, I guess, based on like just the geographic of the area. But is the Crescent Hotel too mainstream for y'all kind of thing? It's kind of becoming a little bit.
Yeah.
Like everybody goes there, right?
And our whole thing is like, we try to be as respectful to the spirits as we can. That's a big deal to us. And I feel like, with how many people go there and ask the spirits their questions and me personally,
probably get annoyed.
Yeah, me personally, if I were a ghost, I'd be like, "Oh my god, every night,
3 ghost tours a night,
right?
Damn, right.
So we're kind of, unless it's like like people are demanding, do it, then we'll maybe do it one day. But until that day comes, we're gonna kind of go to the less known about haunted places in Arkansas.
Makes sense. And I think one of the things that I was thinking about when you said that is that I've never really put thought into annoying the ghost at the Crescent Hotel. of how annoying it's got to be a ghost there. The fact that you have to deal with like 2 or 3 ghost tours every night.
Right.
All right, everybody, ghost back at 1, back in position 1. Let's go from the top.
Every time I go to Eureka, I stop by for at least like 45 minutes and walk around with my wife. So I imagine that there's a lot of other people that are doing that as well. And I'm surprised they haven't done anything like, I don't know, like, well, I guess there was that one person that fell off.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, like 8 or 9 years ago? Someone, like, fell off. Was it from, like, the bar area?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
from the balcony.
When I heard that, I was like, man.
That doesn't listen to a bar.
I was like, man, that was... And then they found the bottles of, like, I guess the whatever... what was his name? The guy that ran that place?
Oh, man.
What was his name? Do y'all remember?
Nah.
I can't believe I forgot his name, but they found some of the bottles of some of the medicine that he would, or medicine with.
Oh yeah, the doctor who.
Yeah, they found his like medicine, like some of the bottles of stuff that he had like underneath somewhere, and it was all over the news, and I've always wondered, like, is that place really haunted or not?
Mm-hmm.
I've personally haven't had any experience. My wife has heard things. She's taking pictures and like orbs show up randomly. But I've always wondered if that is actually a haunted place. What is your opinion on that? Do you think it is, just based on what you know?
Based on what I've seen, and as a paranormal group, we get a lot of messages, especially about the Crescent. People send us pictures and all sorts of things, just being like, "Do you see what I see?" And a lot of them, no, we don't. But
you're about to get some hate mail. John.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sorry, but there are some times where it's like, yeah, I definitely see a face in that window. So it very well could be. I mean, maybe one day we'll investigate it, but probably not anytime soon.
It's like I still really enjoy being there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just like the feeling of it, of the possibility of it being haunted.
Right.
And I would like to believe the stories that people say about it, because I'm even part of a Facebook group that like they post Crescent Hotel pictures all the time of like when they catch something on camera, and part of me wants to believe it, but I personally haven't experienced anything, so I don't know. Hopefully one day I see something or feel something, or maybe I just need to stay at that 218 room where Michael stays at.
I think one of the coolest places right now, especially with it being, Halloween time and stuff, check out the Carpenter's Mortuary in Gentry, because it was an actual mortuary. It's now a haunted attraction, like a casual haunted house. But that place is actually haunted too. We were investigating in there not too long ago. We were sitting in there, doing our standard ghost hunter stuff where we're just kind of yelling into an empty room. And all of a sudden the door starts creaking close. And then we're like, oh my gosh, the door's closing. And it just goes whoop-ah, and slams shut. And we're like, oh my gosh. One of the craziest experiences I've had.
Do they
doing
have
this whole thing.
like a haunted house there now? Right? Yeah. That's
in Gentry.
And it was so wild investigating there, because while you're investigating, you're having to like walk through the actual like haunted house bit, and so they don't tear it down whenever it's not in season. They just leave all the stuff up. So you're walking in, you're like, let's check out this room. There's like haunted scary animatronics all over it, and you're asking, is anybody here with us? It's wild. It's a wild place.
Going through these like paranormal investigation experiences, Josh, do you get scared by like the haunted houses, like the regular haunted houses in Halloween?
Not at all. I haven't, like, I went to the Castle of Muskogee last year.
I've been trying to go there and I've never been able to.
It's so cool. I'm more just appreciative of like the effects that they use. I'll be like, wow, that's so cool. I went with a couple friends. They were terrified. I'm like, this is so cool.
Did you ever get to watch that documentary, The Houses October Built?
No.
Oh, you should watch that. It's like a mockumentary.
Yeah.
And I believe it's about like a group of people that are like in an RV. They go to a haunted house somewhere, and then like some of the scary like clowns and stuff follow them from that house.
Really?
Like it's
I'll have to check it out.
Super creepy.
That sounds awesome.
And I think it's tied to this controversial figure that runs a haunted house that's like super violent, I think.
Oh, McCamey Manor.
I think it's somewhat tied to that in a way.
Yeah.
But I've also watched that documentaries, and
it's too much. That's basically just legal torture. And the only reason why it's legal is because people are signing a waiver.
But the fact that people pay.
Oh, so that's not the Muskogee one then?
No,
we spiraled.
No, because I've heard of that one where you like sign a waiver and then like you're allowed to be like touched, and if you make it all the way through, which I guess
that one.
Yeah, that's definitely not the castle.
Yeah, like the castle, no one touches you, right?
No,
just kind of
not at all.
Boring.
That one's more like kids can go in that one, right?
Yeah. And it's just it's like kids can go in most of them. There are a couple that they're like, oh, we don't really want kids to go through this one. Like they've got one that they put you in a bus and drive you about a mile away from the castle, and then drop you off in the woods and say, okay, have fun, and then just drive off.
Oh, really?
So you're walking through the woods. It's obviously there's a path.
Yeah.
But you're walking through the woods and there's all sorts of stuff coming out at you throughout the entire woods.
That kind of sounds like fun, though.
It's really cool.
Even though I wouldn't want to do the one that makes with the McKinney. Was it McKinney Manor?
McKinney Manor? No, absolutely not.
They're in legal trouble. Like, they have legal issues.
I wanted to see how far like they're going.
There's a documentary that you can see.
It's rough.
Like, people get touched, like buried alive. They get snakes thrown on them. They throw water on them and like put them in cages. Like, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, are they allowed to hurt you? Is that the
yes?
Oh, okay.
I don't know to what extent the hurt part goes to.
I mean, they're like legit hitting people.
Are they?
I mean,
oh man. Yeah, but there's like Facebook pages, hate pages dedicated to that, like, of people with their experiences and stuff. And the guy has been arrested multiple times. I definitely would not want to do that. It's not worth the money.
Yeah.
Check out the 17th Door documentary. Basically, these haunted house people in California wanted to do a documentary for their haunted attraction. And so they showed like how they were making everything and that kind of stuff. And some of their stuff is a little extreme, not to that McKamey Manor extreme, but like there's one of them where they put you against like a board with a bunch of holes in it, and then they lower latex down over you, and then they have a vacuum that sucks all the air out between, and they keep it there for like 3 seconds, so it's not like, you're holding your breath a long time.
I got trypophobia. I cannot see a bunch of holes close to each other. That's already scary enough for me.
Right.
I'm good. I tap out right there.
It's a really cool documentary. They did a whole season about everything that they built and then how they were running it and stuff. They've got a room that completely spins.
Oh man,
it's crazy.
Okay, speaking of California, I remember used to go and find things like, apparently if you go to like Mulholland Drive, you were able to see the Headless Horseman if you pass by like at midnight at the right time. And we went to this intersection several times, but I can never see the Headless Horseman. One thing that did work was this thing called Gravity Hill. And I guess they have Gravity Hills like everywhere, but in LA, where we went to ours, and we used to go all in friends. It used to be by a cemetery. Yeah. So we kind of always pulled up and kind of drank there and wait to see if the car got pulled uphill or whatever. And then, I remember it did. We did get pushed uphill, whatever the reasoning for that is. But the scariest part was this one time we were all chilling out there, and it was like 3 cars, of like teenagers, and all of a sudden, like, we had this like truck kind of pass by, and then it turned around and it kind of like flashed us, and then we were all like teenagers or whatever. So like all of a sudden, like this old man, it's like started yelling at us, and we're all like, oh shit, like let's get out of here. And then we all start driving like down the hill, and this truck like is chasing us. Oh my God. And like I think it was like 4 cars or something, but and I'm like a pretty like I can drive pretty fast, but this guy is like keeping up, and then we're all like texting each other like, meet at like Vallarta or whatever, like, and then we go there, and then this guy's still pulling up, and then he opened, like, we all stop there, and he comes into that parking lot, and this is like maybe after like a 10-minute chase,
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and then he opens his door, and then he starts throwing like empty beer cans at us.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. So after that, we all like split. We all went different ways. So he didn't follow me.
That sounds like a hate crime, bro.
Yeah.
He's just killing vibes.
Yeah. I mean, he was being all drunk, but technically that was the scariest experience that we've had.
He just gets out of his car.
The headless thing.
I mean, we were looking for a scary experience.
The headless thing is on GTA. You do that on GTA. You gotta go somewhere in GTA at a certain time, and then you can see the headless horseman.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh man. Well, we're looking forward to seeing like what kind of investigations y'all do locally, Josh. Hopefully, maybe in the near future, if they're down, I'd love to join y'all for
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
one of them, and we can see like what kind of content we can do together.
Oh yeah.
Because I've done like little, not official ones, but like we've gone to cemeteries with. We pulled out that ghost app on the iPhone, and some of the times I'm telling you, like there are some times where like it does do get responses that are kind of like it's too much of a coincidence.
Right.
But I would love to check out one of y'all's investigations whenever y'all do something locally.
Absolutely.
Where can people find y'all on social media?
Big Boys Paranormal on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I think we're like Big Boys Paranormal 3 on TikTok because our first one we lost the password to, I guess.
What happened?
What happened to the second one?
I don't know. The second one just disappeared. Check out our Facebook. We've got all sorts of events coming up. So, yeah.
Okie dokie. And even though this is a Halloween episode, I always ask this question at the end of our episodes, just for everybody. But like, what do you do specifically to take care of your mental health?
Oh, I go to therapy. Therapy every 2 weeks,
that's
man.
Good. That's good.
Therapy every 2 weeks. Therapy through Connection and Rogers, spectacular. Tiffany Cloud, wonderful.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And for everybody listening, go check out Big Boy Paranormal on all those social media sites that Josh mentioned. And maybe people will be listening to this episode on Halloween. So I hope you all have a good night of spooky stuff and the parties that you go to. Hopefully you have a lot of fun there too. Yeah. If you're going to be coming to the murder mystery, like hopefully by this time that this episode came out, we would have already had a good time. So
it was great, Aaron. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate that. It was great. I survived. But for everybody listening, that was our spooky episode of the District 3 podcast this year. This is Edavine.
This is Elena.
And I'm Migs.
And we're signing off. Happy Halloween.